Welcome, everyone, back to the Geeks 5 Ever podcast. I am your current host, Jace, and with me are my co-hosts. We have the man with the plan who runs the Skinny. He's clean off Chronic and hooked on phonics. We have Keyblade Sonic.
Hello.
And we have the hostess with the mostess, the queen of mean who makes Goku pay. It's SJ.
What's up, guys?
I wrote it. I'm going to say it.
I love it.
And with us today is our special guest, the very talented Paul Eiding.
Stop it.
Applause.
I was clicking things. I can't applaud, but now I
Do a
can.
little mini wave.
Anyway, there you go.
If I move too much, my camera will fall out of focus. But thank you so much for coming and joining us. Rachel always says great things about everyone who comes on. SJ is what we like to call her because she has another nickname that we don't really like to call. So I guess like the first kind of question to get things started off is we were talking before we went live, but like we could only guess which Transformers convention did SJ find you at?
Go on.
I think the first one was Pasadena. No, because what?
That I think we formally met at. I think it was Pasadena. Because didn't you go to Walt Disney World the year before?
Oh my God! Yeah, Orlando. That was my first con ever. 2010.
Yes.
We were both children at the time. That was my first convention ever. Mm-hmm. I had because my kids were still around the house. I didn't want to leave. But then we're both in college. I said, "Screw, I'm out of here." So my wife and I went down. That was our first con, and had a great time, and realized why so many actors do the cons, and it's especially voiceover actors, because when you're doing something voiceover, you never meet anybody. You hear what the people like your work or whatever, like the show, mm-hmm. but you don't get to meet them in person. And the cons afforded us that opportunity. And then I became hooked. That's right. Yep. So 2010, we didn't really meet though. There?
We didn't. No, I don't think we formally met. I know I saw you because you were in the panel with Scott McNeil, and you guys were doing, of course, the classic characters in the drive-thru. That was hysterical.
Yeah, well, that was funny because they told me I said, well, look, this is my first con. What do I do? They said, well, don't worry, we've got you hooked up with Scott McNeil. Mm-hmm. You'll introduce yourself, and then he'll introduce himself and go on for 20 minutes. So you're in good hands. Don't worry about it, because the dude he'll just vamp and improv forever.
Oh yeah,
hilarious. Yeah, it was a good time.
It was a great time. Yeah, and yeah, I think it was officially the next year in Pasadena where we actually met, because I was hanging out with Rosemary.
Right.
And remember, she did the interview with you and some of the other voice actors, and you had to be a deleted scene.
Yeah. I went there.
I loved it.
I have to watch myself sometimes because not because it was deletable, but because right. I will often, generally only about actors that I love, that are dear friends of mine, mm-hmm. will I go off and say horrible things about. Right. Like Greg Berger or Frank Welker or Dan Gilvezan, mm-hmm. I'll just go off on them, just say terrible things about them, hoping that people realize that I'm joking. So I have to watch myself, because if someone took me seriously, they say, "Oh man, Paul Eiding said horrible things about Greg Berger.
That guy's so mean."
Yeah,
jerk.
It sounds like Greg Berger is really horrible human being, but people, after they talk to me for a little while, they realize I'm full of it. So.
Oh yeah. So there was that one. What else was there? I know there was another good one.
We always assume it's a BotCon because
It is a BotCon.
SJ knows every Transformers actor, and so
Almost
everyone.
Our rule is she doesn't
almost
get to
every
talk
living
about,
one.
She doesn't get to talk about Transformers unless she brings on a guest.
You guys sick of the Transformers?
No, I love them.
No, not really.
Okay.
It's mostly so we can irritate our other host.
Oh.
Yep.
And then I did Pasadena twice, one time as an invited guest. And then I was asked to come back. There were some folks that I met in Orlando from England. And we became fast friends, some fans from England. We still stay in touch. And they said, well, you've got to come up. You live in Hollywood, so you got to come over. And so I did, just to say hi to my friends. And then somebody saw me there and said, well, you got to come in to do this one panel with all these other guys. So I went and did that, an uninvited guest, and had a great time. I did that one other time just because fans asked me to come, and that was one in San Diego.
Yes.
I went to San Diego, drove all the way down to San Diego to say hi to some friends from England who went to every BotCon. So I went, and when you make friends through these conventions, may start out as fans of your work, but they become friends, which I love.
Then they trick you to come onto a podcast.
That's me.
Yeah, you have lunch with a bunch of crazies.
Yep.
I remember that lunch too.
We did that. Yeah. So it's all great, fun and games. And I really appreciate the stipend you guys are giving me. The $5,000 to be on the air with you guys, I really apprate. You're welcome.
You mean no one else?
If you read the contract, you'll know that if you mention it, the check is void, right?
Oh
No.
I didn't want to hurt. I feel bad for all the other actors who've come on the show if not gotten any money for it.
We're very stingy with the non-money we have. We don't pay ourselves. How are we going to pay somebody else?
All I can say is I'm worth every cent that I'm getting, and not a penny more.
Alamo City was a really interesting convention, I will say the least. I enjoyed it in literally two separate parts. As in, I only enjoyed one part, and the other part just sucked ass. But that's beside the point. But seeing you and Dan and Greg on top of if you remember, they had the entire cast of Ninja Turtles. So they had Rob Paulson and Townsend Coleman and Barry Gordon and Cam Clark, and they had
a bunch of no talents.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember you all came to this one panel along with I forget the other names because I'm not fans of them yet.
Yeah.
God, that's right. There were 1,000 of us.
It was a really large panel, and you guys were just hilarious.
Mainly me.
Of course, mainly.
I had to carry him, Dan Gilvezan can never think of anything funny to say, but he's great at selling books.
Yes, he is.
He's great at selling his book, which is also very good.
Yes, he is.
I'd like to address some of the comments we've got right now because they're flowing in. We do address the comments whenever we get them. Gabby says, hello, what's up with no intro? Well, that's a copyright thing that we got tired of dealing with. Albert Burnside Redfield has a question for Paul. He says, much respect, Paul. He's a fan of your work for years. Just one question. When you said the line, I fear the wounds are fatal, did that incite any emotions in you at all?
Yes, of course. My God. Because we were aware that had never happened before in an animated show. You don't kill off the hero. You don't kill off the lead. So I hope there was. I was feeling, I don't know if you could hear it in Preceptor's voice, but absolutely. Quick story about that, which happened at Alamo City Comic-Con. There are a lot of guys in the military down there who were helping behind the scenes. And there was a gentleman that came up to me. He was probably in his late 30s, maybe, I don't know if he's maybe in early 40s, but he was a sergeant in the Air Force. And he started talking about that scene. And he said, man, when you said what you did, he said, I was 8 or 9 years old. And when you're standing there and Optimus was lying there and you said what, and I said, oh yeah, I said, oh, you mean when I said, I fear the wounds are fatal. He said, yeah. And I swear to God, he teared up. And he was right back at that 8 or 9 year old self.
Yeah, his body just warped to it.
Yeah. He said, yeah, that really got me. It really got me.
Wow.
Yeah, I felt it too. And the first time I saw that movie was when I was 18, because that's how I got into Transformers in the first place, was because of the live action movie. And so I backtracked and I didn't even watch the full, because everything was on YouTube at the time, or not on YouTube. So whatever was on YouTube was what I could watch.
Right.
So I didn't have the complete first and second seasons. So I just watched as much as I could. And then all of a sudden I came across the movie and I was like, holy fuck, what did I just walk into? And I felt the same thing, like not even knowing the entire complete series up to that point and being 18 years old, that got me too. I was like,
yeah,
what are they doing?
Why are they doing this?
Ocean.
Yeah. I look back on that cast in that movie, and my gosh, there were some huge names of the era. Jesus, yeah, we're very lucky. Anyway,
he replied, because he's obviously listening. The voice cracking a little made him really think. He definitely felt the emotions when you were doing your line in there, so he wanted to. He was double checking because
cool. I appreciate
I was 9
that.
years old, and he cried in the theater. And of course, Prime dies the second time, then comes back. So
yeah,
it's really good.
Does anyone ever die in animated film? Yeah.
Children, young kids don't know back then. Like, oh no, he's gone forever. Like, or we just bring back the main character.
Yeah. I mean, it was very serious. You had everyone grown up all of a sudden, and every episode of Transformers had the Autobots winning, and then all of a sudden they're losing the war. It's like, what happened? Like, are we watching the right movie? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And it's because, like I said, I hadn't seen the entire series yet. I was like, did I miss an episode or two? And of course not. This was the 80s. It's not a complete storyline. It's just random things thrown together.
And it really is sad when you find out that one of the big reasons was they wanted to bring out new toys.
Yeah, no,
it's all driven by toys. So
Totally.
If you think about it, it's pretty much the 80s in general.
Reboot it, get some more toy sales.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
But they kept you. They
Yeah.
kept you on.
I was one of the lucky ones.
You were. They kept you and Dan and Greg.
Yep.
Because that was the year, because when the movie came out, that was actually the year that a lot of the actors that were on the movie all passed away. Orson Welles, Scatman Crothers, right? Like that was their last film.
Yeah. We killed Orson Welles. It was
worth it for the movie?
It was bizarre.
I love it. I love that you said it.
Yeah, Orson. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the story about when Orson would arrive. No one was allowed to be there when Orson was there, unless somebody snuck in there. He recorded alone because he was Orson Welles. I mean, massive. Sorry for the word, but he was also physically massive at that point. And they would send a car. They would send a limo for him to bring him to the studio. And some of us were still there. We were done. We were out of the studio, leaving. And when the limo drove up, and the limo driver got out and got a wheelchair out of the car, and then Orson's car drove up behind him, and Orson got out of his car. So the limo brought his wheelchair every day, but not Orson. I'm sorry, Mr. Wells. Because he was just a monster talent. He was incredible. And also when you didn't want to mess with, if you were a voiceover director, because the stories, he can rip somebody apart verbally very, very easily.
Right.
So, bright, talented man.
Well, I don't know you much from Transformers because that's SJ's department. I don't.
That's her field.
Yeah. I recognize your voice from Ben 10 as
Same.
Grandpa Max,
Aha.
and I watched it when it first came out, and then I was like, it's the same voice. They've kept the same voice, and then like, Paul Eiding is that? Oh my god, that's so amazing.
Yeah, I love Grandpa Max because I've said this before, he's the guy that I want to be. I always would want to be. He's a guy who does what he does for love, cares about family. That's number one. And he can also kick ass when he has to.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
He's also extremely dangerous.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Who's unassuming at first, and then you find out what he's capable of, what he can do. But also good, a good, decent human being,
Right.
And plus, vocally, he's closest to my real voice.
So that was kind of easy, right?
Yeah. Listen, early on, when I first got cast in that show, they wanted kind of a folksy sound. So when the first 2 or 3 episodes that we recorded, it never quite clicked because I was doing things, had just a little bit of Ben. Now, Ben, you can't do that, son. You can't do this. So there was just a little bit of a country sort of feel, warm, And I think it was after the second, I think it may have been the 3rd episode. Memory fails, but they said, Paul, could you stay after when we were done? And I never felt comfortable with what we had been doing. I knew that they weren't completely happy with what I was doing. And I said, okay, well, I'm done. They're gonna get somebody else in here. And we worked on it. We said, it just isn't working. And then we finally realized it was being the old down home sort of country thing that you didn't need.
A space fighting plumber who's from the South.
Right.
Yeah. So we dumped that, and then boom, he was there.
Perfect.
And he did it. It was for 10 years,
Yeah.
Now they rebooted it with David.
Yes.
With David. I have not watched it.
Either have I.
It's
They kept the other voice actor for.
they kept her strong, but I think they
That's her
changed Gwen, because wasn't Gwen?
Oh, they changed Gwen. They changed.
Yeah.
Well, the original Gwen, she did until they made Ben 15 years old.
Right.
Then they switched.
Yes.
Right.
But things are different now.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm not saying this happened with Ben 10, but what's happening now with voiceover and with, I'm sure on camera as well, is they look at your Twitter followers, how many Instagram followers you have. The more you have, the more viable you are, because they feel that you've got a fan base.
Yeah.
And I never really worked that hard at building that up. And to her credit, Tara Strong, she told me years and years ago, early on in Ben 10, Paul, you got to build up your Twitter followers. You got to build up your Instagram, your media. She saw it coming before most of us did. And she's really good at that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Plus she's incredibly talented, you know. But she warned people before it was happening, that she saw it coming. And that's what's happened. You got two people who are up for a role, or pretty close. The one who has 100,000 followers is going to beat somebody out, even if they're not quite as good.
Right. But I find that interesting because I think I feel like David is kind of, I don't think he's on social media any more than you are. I feel like you guys are even as far as that aspect goes.
Yeah.
I don't see him. I don't see him doing us up to the level that Tara does, but I don't see him. I don't think I see him doing more than you.
I love David. David.
Oh yeah.
When he got cast, we saw each other and he said, "Paul, are you okay with this?" It's like, are you kidding me? Of course.
Aww.
I would rather have somebody I know and care about do a role that I've done than somebody who just really tried to. I never get upset with an actor because I've replaced actors. I never get upset with something like that. Never with the actor. If I'm going to get upset, it's going to be with the producer or someone else who makes those choices. Never the actor for saying, well, I'm not going to take this job.
Right.
Same thing with, yes.
Or the Mac Speak and Spell.
Yeah. Same thing with Bloom. Steve Bloom called me and said, "Look, I got this audition. I don't want to audition for it. It's your part." I said, "No, man, audition for it. Do it." But they didn't even go with Steve. It's like
jerks.
That's amazing.
The funniest part.
Good, he didn't even know who it was.
The funniest thing was that when I got the audition through my agent, and she said, "I'm going to only submit you because it's for Grandpa Max, for the reboot of Ben 10." And I said, "But I didn't audition for it because it said no sound-alikes."
Oh,
dang.
I said, "Why am I going to audition when they don't want to sound alike?"
Jeez.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Give us your best Grandpa Max. Nah, too close. We don't want that.
I actually, it's not the first time. There was a character I did call from a piece called, oh God, what is it called? Oh, it's a little kids thing. I've been showing it.
That narrows it down.
Adventures in, oh God. Anyway, the voice is this. "Hello, I'm Grandfather Z. Well, I'm going to take you to the dream world of Sonorous. Are you ready? Let's go." Okay.
Good.
So I get this saying from my agent, said they want the voice that did this, just like this voice. So she submitted me. I didn't get it. It's like I'm the only one who ever did that. But that stuff happens all the time, Yeah. You roll with it.
So how are you handling the whole everything shut down? Because I know voice actors, either they work from home or they find something else to do.
Well, what you've got here behind me is my whisper room.
Oh, good. I thought that was a weird porta potty you had in your room.
Well, only when I can't make it to the bathroom.
It was a very long session. I had screamed for too long.
Yeah. So I record here. I'm actually worked on a game last week, and they wanted me to come in studio. And I was the only actor allowed. They were only allowing one actor in studio a day. It was a 4-hour session. It was just me in the room, engineers on the other side of the glass, director and writer on the phone. So I felt really safe. And I've got a session tomorrow. It's a 3-hour session for another game that.
NDA.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. It's understandable.
Yeah.
Give us the scoop.
and that's also going to be in studio. But they sent me this list that I had to send in a COVID-19 checklist, answer all these questions. And now tomorrow when I go, I call them when I get into the parking lot. Someone will come to the door and check my temperature. The COVID protocols for voiceover are being followed really strenuously and I think they're doing a great job, because I've done several sessions over the last few months and in studio as opposed to just doing them here. And I've never felt uncomfortable. They've always been on top of stuff. And I'm definitely one of those guys that's in that age range that, I'm not 30 years old, so you got to be careful. Mm-hmm. And so far, so good. Everything's been fine. And I do a lot of stuff on Zoom, doing play readings and classes and things like that, just to keep the mind sharp and to realize why I'm still an actor. It's like, because it's fun, and challenging. So I'm doing okay as far as that goes.
That's good. It'd be really bad if you're very inactive all year.
Yeah, it's dreadful. Well, the killer is, it was like 2 months, nothing.
Right.
Just nothing. And then all of a sudden, things started popping up. I did this a short film that I hope everyone sees when it comes out, because it's an homage basically to Jim Henson.
Oh.
One of the reasons they wanted me to keep the beard is it's me and a Muppet, and a little girl who plays my granddaughter.
Aww.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. About a guy, puppeteer, who is telling his, oh God, I can't say too much about it.
It's okay.
But it has a long conversation with his partner of 40 years.
Okay.
And his partner happens to be a puppet who talks, you have a conversation back and forth. And the only time you see me operating the puppet is when someone else is in the room. Other than that, we are separate. And they had 2 gentlemen who worked with the Muppets working the puppet. And it was written and directed by the head of animation at DreamWorks. Just something he wanted to do on his own. So I'll make sure I post about it when it comes out, because it's just a beautiful story that I was really, honored to be a part of.
Awesome.
That's why you have the beard.
That's why I kept the beard.
Because it's December and you're secretly Santa Claus.
No, not this year. Maybe next year. We'll see.
You didn't get that part either? Ah, jeez.
What's really irritating is that I have had voiceover auditions. Mm-hmm. My agent sends me every year, maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe more every season for the voice of Santa. Never booked one.
Oh,
there's something about my ho ho ho, I guess, isn't authentic enough. I don't know what it is,
but is it too jolly?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, but it's very funny. I'm constantly auditioning for Santa, but now maybe my Santa voice is too deep. Ho, ho, ho. Does that not work?
Ooh, sounds like Danny
No,
DeVito.
Sounds like Popeye.
Yeah, ho, ho, ho. Am I funny? Like a clown? Yeah. Ho, ho. Santa?
Jay Leno?
Yeah, very, very good.
It's like, this is Jay Leno.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jay Leno as well.
You can't see my chin.
I
But
have a
shaved
beard for
in.
the same reason.
So you guys both know me from Ben 10?
I know you from Ben 10, and you are also a voice, like probably several voices in Elder Scrolls,
Yes.
but I know you're an NPC that I can't kill because they're immortal and that's irritating. Every once in a while,
Right.
I kill you and you get up and you just irritate me more.
Yeah, good. Anything I can do to piss you off, it makes
You're
me
the
happy.
Stormcloaks.
There you go.
I just love it when people they'll contact me and say, "Hey, I killed you today on it's in Skyrim." They get information from what's his name, Septimus.
Oh.
They'll get information from Septimus Cygnus and then kill me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not very nice.
This is the mission where we assassinated you.
Yeah, what am I? I am Septimus, who's the guy who speaks in riddles and rhyme.
Mhm.
Yeah. My
You also-
master told me what?
You're also the general for the Stormcloaks. You're right below their king. You're the main general.
Goma Stonefist.
There he is.
Yes.
There we go.
I hate that guy. He's the one who won't die. I accidentally joined the Stormcloaks, and I was like, I don't want to join them. I want to be in the Imperials. Once you go down the pathway too far, they don't let you kill them.
I'm also one of the guys that says, I used to be whatever it was, but I took an arrow to the knee.
Oh, it took.
They had several of us do that.
One of the best ones.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I'm that one. And then I'm also Feldir the Elder. I guess you can work with him to kill Alduin. Yeah. Alduin. Yeah.
I think he's one of the leaders of the Blades. I'm not sure. I haven't
Yeah, I
played
don't
the game
either.
in forever.
Yes.
And you were just in it.
Yeah.
Unless you played it. That'd be weird.
You also did a few voices in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I
Correct?
certainly did.
Yes,
Yep.
you did. I heard that. I finally was watching it and I heard that and I was like, I know that voice. That's
Shoo.
Paul.
And my brother Shoo. And
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. That was fun.
That was great.
And then the mayor in one. And
Hmm.
I don't remember.
Like a Fire Nation ambassador
Yeah.
that took over one of the Earth Kingdoms. Yeah. That was great. That was the first one. I was like, I know him. I know that voice.
You certainly
Uh-huh.
have one of the voices where it's easy to pick out. It's like, one of those.
Like one of those. But then you've also done, besides Grandpa Max and Ben 10, you've also done quite a few of the aliens that it's like, wait, what? You did what voice now? Like you did Blue Kitch.
Yeah.
One of those
Yeah.
little aliens.
Yeah. Blue Kitch and Dreba. Dreba and Blue Kitch.
And Blue Kitch is very close to. Have you seen Incredibles 2?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's close to. What do I say?
Only saw it the one time. I don't know.
Names.
Sort of the R.
Reflex.
Yeah.
Reflux.
I'm trying to remember the name of the rest of the line.
Name's Reflux. Medical condition or superpower. Yeah, you be the judge, right?
And that one I had auditioned for right in here.
Cool.
When I got a call to do the audition, and they didn't want me to just do that. They also wanted the sound that I would be making if I was puking out.
Oh.
Yeah, puking out
Upchuck.
lava. So I did all that stuff, and I came out of the booth, and my wife, although it's quiet, my wife came and she said, "You okay? Is everything all right?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, you just sounded," and it's an audition. It's like, "Oh, okay, good." So like, and I'm throwing up in there.
I couldn't make it to the bathroom, so
Right.
Right, exactly.
What else? What other aliens did you do? You also did I guy, I think. Is that correct?
Hey! Yeah, he's just loud.
He is just loud.
Yeah, I guy, and I did the big monkey, the ultra spider monkey or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I also did Zed, but all Zed did was
Right.
all that stuff. So that was a fun one.
But yeah, those are all voices that are not Perceptory or Grandpa Max at all. And I was like, huh. Didn't realize you could do that.
There are some things, you guys are too young for Diablo.
Hey.
And what?
I love Diablo. Did you do voice in Diablo or noises?
Diablo 1?
Yeah, I played Diablo, the first one, because I played Diablo.
Well,
play the worst
I'm
one.
the narrator. I'm the one who the whole end story, the Horodrum, the Soul Stone. That's all me.
I played that game. I need to play the game again now.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I did all that. And do you know StarCraft?
No.
Yes.
I've seen. We know a couple of people.
I
who
know
do
StarCraft, but I don't play the game.
Well, StarCraft, I'm the guy who says, you must construct additional pylons. You need more Vespine gas.
You're the guy everyone hates.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Although my daughter was at a party and she sent me a text. This is a couple years ago. She said, "Dad, you made it." And it's like, what? Yeah. So in Cards Against Humanity, one of the cards is construct additional pylons.
You made it big if that ends up.
Yeah. And I did a job for, oh God, what was it? Walking Dead. And one of the games, The Walking Dead. And the director brought in his Cards Against Humanity with that and asked me to sign it for him. It was very cool. I love your kitty cat.
I know. What are you doing?
You have ghosts in your room, and the cat's going after you.
Again? Jesus.
That's it.
Don't.
When you move,
jump
the ghosts
there.
go with
It's
you.
nothing over there. Don't jump there, please.
Do it. We believe in you.
Jump, 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 jump.
Do a flip.
Do a flip.
So it's a corner. Where are you gonna go?
Down.
Yeah,
The other option is up, which is very.
Nope.
Oh, there we go.
I'm just gonna lie. I'm just gonna rest right here.
Myself right on.
Let me lick my butt. Am I on camera?
It's the money shot right
There
here.
you go. That's my daughter. Dang, really?
She's adorable. What does she got? Or is that just her tag hanging?
Oh, that's her. Yeah, that's her collar.
You always hear her coming.
I hear her coming a lot. Is it Steph? What did you do?
You never see it coming.
Okay.
So where are you guys? Cities?
I am looking over San Francisco, apparently.
On the Berkeley side, or
No, this is just I googled Zoom San Francisco, and this is what came up.
Oh, okay.
you guys aren't on Texas, are you?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Why would you say that? Yes, we are.
What?
There's just a Texas feel here.
We get that a lot of text.
Yep.
Racist.
I don't know what that means.
It's more like statist.
I believe
Yeah.
both of you are in Houston, right?
Yes. Me and SJ are in the Houston area. Well, for her specifically, she's in Upper North Houston.
Yeah.
Spring.
Conroe.
Her dress is.
It's
Nice
one,
try. You don't. Yeah.
One,
Nice
one,
try.
2, 3.
Satellite.
And then,
I'm
and-
outskirts of Dallas.
Yeah. So basically, mainly Texas.
So you're not
Texas, yeah.
quite as humid as Houston gets.
Sometimes we get snowflakes.
I actually got frost.
Oh, that's
this
right.
morning.
Yeah. You what?
Yeah, we had frost this morning too.
Frost.
Yeah. Or not
Nice.
this morning, yesterday morning. I forget. I have a nighttime job now. So it's like I work technically 2 days each shift. So it's like, ugh. I get my days all confused.
And you're on the West Coast. I'm California.
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm on the left coast.
Nice side.
How's it feel over there?
I'd say
What's the
the
weather
best.
like there?
It's actually been great for the last week anyway. It's been in the high 70s, lows going to the high 40s,
Wow.
Which-
Okay.
which I don't mind at all.
Sounds like California weather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the wintertime is best here because that's when you actually can see the mountains, the hills. You can actually see the water. Any other time of year with the smog or whatever, you ain't seeing nothing. But it's been nice. Yeah.
I heard a lot about California's weather. It could be like hit or miss sometimes, in a way.
Yeah. The best is for me is San Diego. The weather there it's temperate almost all year round. Here we'll have a week of 104, 107 degrees. Actually, this year we had 111 several days, 114 at one point. It was just insane. Just insane.
Because we get that here, but
Oh yeah, you do.
just
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's really awful. I actually I went to a convention in Los Angeles in the middle of summer. It was in July of 2 years ago when it was like a heat wave. And I was in costume, so like the first 30 seconds of being outside, I was already like dripping. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna lose so much weight in this thing.
Oh God.
It is
A mini
melted cheese.
sauna.
What costume were you wearing?
It was more like a cosplay, but it's from an anime called My Hero Academia. It's like pretty much like what's the best material to describe it?
Nylon, plastic.
Yeah, similar nylon in a way. It's like Deku's costume.
No natural fiber in it,
No.
Highly flammable.
so it doesn't breathe.
Right.
Stand too close to a tall building, the light reflecting
Yeah.
on it will just melt
Right.
it.
Yeah, it probably would. I kind of felt it. I was like, oh geez, I gotta get this thing off of me.
I feel like
Oh.
a damn hot pocket right now.
I liked San Diego. That was the first time I've ever BotCon in San Diego was the first time I've ever been there. And I was super excited because it was, when was it? Like middle of June. So it's normally like really hot and humid in Texas. But when we were there, I was telling my dad, like, oh my God, I'm standing in direct sunlight. There's not a cloud in the sky and I'm not dripping sweat. This is amazing. I love
Now,
it.
is that the one that BotCon was at like a near some country club or something? It was like
Yeah, it was a hotel and convention center, but it's not like the Dolphin was or at Walt Disney World or
right.
yeah, it was the spread out thing, and you came the next day, so
Yeah.
they actually had a dinner, and they had a lawn where they showed the first live action movie. And one of the guests there was Glenn Morshower from the movie. And so my dad and I got to hang out with him. And that's a whole another thing that one of these days I'm going to get him on the show because he's just amazing.
I know he's a good guy. We saw each other again in San Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
but I hadn't seen Glenn for a long time. We did a few movies together, real movies, not animated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
We go back a long way, and we did. Oh God, one movie. It was about a runaway car. In fact, it was called Runaway Car.
It's that movie about the bus that can't slow down.
It's basically like that. Judd Reinhold
No.
was in it. I forget who the woman was in it, and Glenn was in it. He played a cop. Imagine that.
Right. That's
And
all
I
over
played
the place.
I played a 911 operator who was trying to help this guy not crash. And there was a woman, there was a little child in it too,
Oh,
a little
wow.
baby. And they couldn't stop the car. The brakes wouldn't stop. So we're clearing all the traffic ahead. And at one point they bring a helicopter in, and they drop in and take the baby out of the roof, the open roof of the car. So it was this bizarre thing. It was a TV movie, and I think that was the first time we met. And then we did a couple of other films together. Yeah, good guy. And very talented actor too.
We have a comment. They're asking if you were the narrator voice in a game called Evil Zone.
Yes.
Whoa,
That's not a good reaction.
He's like, I don't want to admit
I'm
it.
not familiar with this game.
Yes, that's me. Galley Varnish. Gregman Varnish or Gregman Galley. Yes, that's me. Okay, here, a quick story about that. There are people who love that game. It's a fun game. There are people who hate that game. Mm-hmm. And somebody sent me a link to a YouTube channel that these guys reviewed that game. And they just ripped it up and down. And they said, oh, poor Colonel Campbell. Paul Eiding must have been feeling horrible that he had to do what he did. It's one of those games where it's over the top. So I actually had to say, oh, you don't want to fight me, little girl. That kind of thing.
It looks like Tekken, but probably worse.
It was, yeah. So it was over the top, and at one point, here's what actors do. Mm-hmm. Actors do, if they're worth their salt, if the director and the writers want something a certain way, you try and give them what they're asking for. That's what they're paying you for. If they're saying, hey, whatever you want to do, you do, come up with something. I was doing what they asked me to do, what they wanted me to do. Because at one point, these guys said, man, is he really that bad an actor? It's like, hey, if you don't like it, I've done a lot of things that are really bad acting. But sometimes something that that some people don't like, it's like you're serving the piece. It's what has been asked of you to do. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
it's not your fault. It's a bad game.
Well, it's not even that. It's more a choice, personal.
They want the over-the-top acting. You give it to them. That's what they asked for.
I did a TV show back in the 80s that was over-the-top acting, but it was meant to be because it was a fantasy show about Prince Charming and Snow White, who wake up 1,000 years later, crawl out of the pit that the evil step mother threw them in, the witch, and they now have a show with 2 children, 1 dwarf, the magic mirror, and nosy neighbors who live next door. And I was one of the neighbors. And it was like larger than life, called The Charmings. For Prince Charming and Snow White. Okay. We almost got sued by Disney, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had Snow White dressed very similarly to the animated Snow White. So they had to change her clothing and how her hair was styled. And then they left us alone. Anyway.
Yeah.
So very much like a different take on it, on Snow White.
It's Snow White, but we're not allowed to make her look like the Disney.
Snow White.
Yeah.
Right. You can't look like the Disney Snow White. Snow White is, fair game, but not the Disney Snow White.
Right.
Anyway.
I have questions. We haven't got to any of these. Well, I got a couple of them, but this is where I get somewhat professional, I guess.
It's okay.
There's a generic one. What's your favorite role? Or, well, no, I don't like that one. That's stupid. Do you prefer voicing? Well, he can answer if he wants to. Do you prefer voicing animated shows or video games? Like, if money wasn't an option of whichever one would pay more, which do you prefer to do?
Oh, God. This is going to sound like a cop-out, but I really mean it sincerely. The best written. If it's good writing and good story, I want to do it. If it's a good role, I want to do it. But I feel the same way about live action stuff. If it's written well, and if it's because it all starts with the word. All we do as actors is interpret the words that are there. The brilliant people, as far as I'm concerned, are the people who write the stuff. Some of the best writing I've come across has been video games. I mean, Metal Gear Solid, I'm sorry, it changed the way games were made. Some people feel there's too much cutscene and all that. I'll buy that, but Kojima's mind is, he was ahead of his time in a lot of ways. God of War. When I worked on, especially the first God of War, listening to these writers who really did their homework and really know Norse sagas, it's like, these are really some bright dudes. And even something like Ratchet and Clank. I mean, it's well-written stuff. It's not just silly things. So for me, I love doing Pixar stuff because it's all about story. Story is really important to them. It's not just about the fancy animation and whatnot. But give me something that's well written, something that I can play with, something I can sink my teeth into, and I'm a happy camper, you know? And that goes for on stage as well, you know? Does that make any sense? Or am I just rambling?
Oh, no.
That makes
you
a
want
lot
to
of
do
sense,
something
actually.
that's actually like good writing.
Worth your work, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But also the actor's job is to take something that is not great writing and try and make it better.
Right.
Or try and sell it and try and get across the writer's intent. Serve the piece, serve the writer, serve the director. That's what we, and if they're intelligent, where most of them are, they will let you bring yourself to it and inform the piece if you're a halfway intelligent actor. And I am halfway intelligent.
Yes, you are.
I won't go any further than that. Some people are 3/4 intelligent, but
I kind of have like a follow-up on that. Is there, well, sort of, in an obscure way, is there like we've talked about the popular stuff you're in, Avatar, Ben 10, Transformers, Metal Gear. Is there anything that's like not as popular, but kind of like maybe called classics or some like just underwritten stuff that
the first one that comes the first one that comes something I did, you mean? I say this all the time. One of my favorite shows ever was the Toxic Crusaders, which was so stupid. It was so dumb. Talk about over the top, but we had so much fun doing it. It was hilarious. It was meant to be dumb. It's trauma. So all that's intentional. And I played a character called No Zone. No Zone was he had been a Southern test pilot, and he flew through a hole in the ozone, lost control of his vehicle, and crashed into a vat of radioactive pepper.
I remember this story.
It could happen.
Sure.
That's fair.
Those things can happen.
Yeah. So he became fused partially with his airplane. He had one leg that was the wheel of an airplane. So he rolled on one leg, and his nose was huge, and his power was sneezing. And when he sneezed, he could sneeze down a forest or an advancing army.
And No Zone talked like this. And the only way I could do it was to make this face.
So it was pretty ridiculous. And a fun story about that, when I got called to audition for the show, I auditioned for 2 roles. I auditioned for No Zone, and I auditioned for another character who was like this little toady character of Dr. Killimoff, who's the bad guy, of course. And Dr. Killimoff, the bad guy, was the same actor who played Toxie, our hero, who now plays Squidward. He's been doing Squidward for all these years.
Oh, Roger Bumpus.
Roger did both characters. And so I auditioned for 2 characters. I did a voice for his toady. And the voice I picked, because the guy was kind of a druggie and had lost a bunch of brain cells and was kind of just out of it most of the time, talked a little slower than everybody else. And the director, who was also casting it, said, that voice that you're doing, it sounds like this actor who was in Bonnie and Clyde and did other things. And I said, yeah, that's whose voice I wanted to do. And she said, oh, God, it was so wonderful. It was very funny. Okay, great. I leave. I get cast. I come back for the first recording session. And there at the recording session, playing that character was the guy whose voice I was doing. He hadn't auditioned, but they liked the voice. And they said, well, let's get the real guy.
Yeah, there you go.
So they did. They got the real guy. And sweet dear man who actually just passed away. But he hadn't done a lot of voice work. So everything took a lot longer because they'd say, okay, you're going to have to pick it up like a second. We don't have that much time. You can pick it up for about like 1 second. He'd do it again, exactly the same time. So he just didn't have the voiceover chops, but he had the great voice and the great character because it was who he was. And he did, back in the 70s, do a ton of drugs, which served him well in this character. Anyway, so... And in that show was a bunch of Transformers too. Greg Berger was in that show, and Hal Rail was in the show.
Right.
Yeah, a bunch of the same crew. I just can't get away from these losers.
True.
Anyway, so does that answer that question?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
It's like
That's a
SJ
good
answered the question.
I wasn't looking for anything specific. I've just been double checking like your IMDb page, and I was like, oh, I actually did watch some of these things. That's weird.
Some of these old things.
Oh yeah, like there was this old B movie that I watched. Didn't even know it existed until like whatever. But like, I don't know if you remember it, Adventures in Dinosaur City.
Oh God, yeah. I don't remember who I did though. I did.
Apparently you did. I don't
King
remember
or
the
something?
Yeah, you did that one, but I don't remember the character. I think it was the little one. Because I thought you were like the lead. I was like, that wasn't him. I don't remember. It's been years, but yeah, I think it was the little one.
What's interesting is that back in the day, different casting directors saw me different ways. Voiceover casting directors. There are a couple that saw. I only got really the higher voiced characters. You know, the ones way up here or whatever. Right. And then there were a couple of them only brought me in for the deeper things. It was great, but then I never, like the folks who did the Transformers and G.I. Joe, I never auditioned for G.I. Joe.
Oh.
Never had an audition. All the time, you know, all the big voices and all, you know, that kind of thing. I never got that. They, you know, same guy that I got Perceptor from the Transformers. But I do have a deeper side to my voice.
Right.
You know, but I never got an audition for any of those things.
Yeah.
which is
That's
okay
what-
because they were throat rippers anyway.
Oh yeah, like that's what David Sobolov was saying at BotCon in San Diego. He was like, "Yeah, I played like Depth Charge and Shockwave, and it's all these really deep, low characters because he has a great bass."
Oh, great.
And we
Yeah.
were like, "Well, which character would you play if you wanted to?" And he's like, "I want to be the hero." And we heard him try to do like a teenage boy voice, and we're just like, "That's not gonna work.
Yeah, not going to work, buddy.
It's not gonna work." But thank you for trying. That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
That's the other thing. Actors,
Mhm.
I've come to the realization early on in my career, any actor worth their salt feel they can do everything. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, you bet I can do that. No, you can't.
Like,
You know, you get a good casting director and they'll know. You got to trust other people. You know, sometimes what you hear you doing ain't what other people are hearing, you know?
right.
Yeah. My days of doing, 12-year-old boys gone, you know. Voicing 12-year-old boys.
Well, if you
Gotta-
get back for it,
Thought I had to clean that up, okay?
someone just take that clip.
Oh, God, exactly.
This will be online for anyone to edit that.
God, did you hear what Paul said?
We're gonna get that $5,000 back. That's for sure.
There you
There's
go.
a comment. A B movie Gizmo Duck. There's a movie called For Gizmo Duck. I don't know.
I thought I just saw it. Give me a minute.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Internet
But
powers
that's-
activate.
That's why I always have to check IMDb.
Yes.
And even IMDb doesn't have everything. They don't have a bunch of stuff that I've done this year. They missed a few things from last year.
Oh.
But if it wasn't for IMDb, I wouldn't remember anything. You forget over time.
How
It's in
rude.
that. All right.
Like I'd forgotten I'd done a game called Sacrifice years ago.
Mm.
And I had to go on, find it, and then saw it on YouTube. It's like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, very cool.
No, you were in Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
I don't remember you being in Golden Girls. I must have. I know I saw that. I know I saw.
Oh, I
it.
get a message on Facebook every couple of months. I saw you on Golden Girls because they replay it over and over and over again.
I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, it was great because all my stuff was with Betty White, who is exactly what you think she is. She
Yeah.
is just the sweetest woman. God, loved her. She loved me. Betty White, yeah. And Rosario Dawson gave me a kiss. Yeah, I made it. When I did one of the, I'm Superman's dad in a couple of the Justice Leagues.
Mhm.
And one of them where I was working, Rosario was there. It's like, oh, I have a crush on Rosario Dawson.
Well, you got the kiss from it. That counts.
Yeah, I don't care if they paid me, but they did. Yeah.
What's it called again?
Which one?
The one that you can't.
Gizmo Duck is the only word.
Gizmo Duck. I
Gizmo
looked it up.
Duck is from DuckTales.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I said
that's
he
the
was
one
in
I did.
DuckTales. He said
Oh,
he was
cool.
in DuckTales.
Oh.
I was looking for
I
his
wasn't
title.
Gizmo-
Darkwing Duck. Right, right.
I was looking for.
But I wasn't Gizmo Duck. Gizmo was a regular character, right?
Gizmo was a character that was played by like a costume, like their janitor, their tech guy turns into
Yeah, that wasn't me.
Gyro.
Gyro.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. It was cool because back then when I did the show, I had Jim Cummings, who was Darkwing, do a little tape for my daughter because they
Oh.
watched Darkwing all the time. And I found it a few years ago. I've got it put away somewhere. So that's one of the nice little things. I got an hello from her, from Darkwing to Connor. I think it was her birthday. And for my other daughter, I was doing a cartoon series with Mark Hamill, and had him do a little autograph for McKenna that she had on her wall forever and ever. She's got it tucked away somewhere. But I usually don't do that stuff, and I usually don't get autographs. But with Jim, we had done enough things together that it's no big deal. Because we do it for all of us, do it for each other.
I skipped over the question, but do you have a favorite role you've done? Like a favorite character?
Voiceover?
Any character does. It's just open question.
Oh, well, then that's an easy one. For me, it would be on stage.
Oh.
I played Tevye for several times in different theaters in my earlier days. And I did it at one point for 10 months, 8 shows a week. Never got tired of it. It was I think it was like 680 seats in the theater, and mostly sold out, except for maybe Tuesdays and Wednesdays, not quite, but we packed them in, and that still is my favorite role of all time, because as a character actor, you got to do everything. You sing, you dance, you make them laugh, you make them cry, you talk to God. Oh, hey, how much better is that? So for me, that's for a character actor, that was it. I could have done a longer. Oh, the funny thing is that the day after we closed, for that long, the day after we closed, I got pneumonia. And my wife said I was talking in tongue. She said I was just so out of it. My temperature was like 104 something.
Oh, wow.
But it was what happens with actors or with anybody. If you've got a task, somehow your body can, hold off.
You don't have time to bleed. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I was sick for at least a week after that.
Oh, wow.
With pneumonia. Yeah.
All the sicknesses you had during that 10 months got piled up to the end. It's like,
because I didn't want to miss a show, man. It was just so much fun. Because that's the other deal. As an actor, you're the star.
Shows dedication.
You just didn't want your understudy to get in there. That was it.
Okay. All right. I did take a week off. And that was because they begged me to take a week off. So my understudy, who was doing another show at the time, it wasn't like I was saying, screw you, you don't get to do this show. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records. He was part of a show. It's the longest running show with the original cast in, I think, in the world. Oh, wow. They ran for 20 years or over 20 years in a 99 seat theater. It's a 2-character musical called, it's based on a play called The Four Poster. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This man and woman, they meet in this show. They get married, they age, and then one of them passes away. It's a beautiful show. So when they first started doing the show, it starts out with them young, which they were. And as the show progresses, they have to start putting white in their hair and age makeup till the end of the show, till they're older, much older. Well, they did the show long enough that they had to start the show darkening their hair and putting on young makeup as much as they could until they started washing it off toward the end of the show. Yeah, so it's in Chanhassen in Minneapolis. And that's what they did. That was their job for over 20 years. They both played golf. They would do their show, have their days free, and raised a family. They met, got married while they were doing the show, and they're still together, I assume.
That's awesome.
So he was my understudy, and he just wanted to get away from that show for a week. Where his wife would go off and she'd take a couple of weeks off here and there and do other shows. So we did. We let him do it for a week.
That was very nice of you to give him.
Yeah, I'm a good man. I'm a mensch. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? Is there? Okay, so that's your favorite. Is there anything that's been like especially challenging that you were like kind of dragging your feet, like you didn't really want to go in to work that day for as long as that project was around, whether it be live action or voice acting?
Yeah, couple. Number one, a quick one. It's every once in a while you get an audition for something that you don't want to do. Because I take every audition. If I get an audition, if somebody's thinking about me, absolutely, I'm going to audition. But there are times when you do get an audition that is going to be a throat ripper, that you're, in the back of your mind, you're saying, oh, please, God, don't let me get this. Don't let me get this. Don't let me get this. And I did this one and I got it. It was for a video game and it was for a character called Baby. Baby was, I don't know what the game was. I don't know if it ever came out. But Baby was a baby that happened to be 20 feet tall, that had sharp, jagged teeth. And all Baby did was roar and scream. And that's what, and Baby was a monster. I don't know if it was written by new parents or what, but the whole thing was, I'm not even going to do it. That's all he was doing was screaming. And the other job that I actually left was at this same theater. I was doing The Sound of Music.
Oh.
Okay. And I was doing a Sound of Music, and I was playing, I don't know if you know the character, but he was the manager of the music manager who organized all the festivals and whatnot. Uncle Max is what they called him. Oh God, yeah, Uncle Max. And
it's a busy Max character.
Yeah. Instead of Grandpa Max, it's Uncle Max.
He's a grandpa to somebody, probably.
Yeah. But what happened during that show, number one, it's a sweet show. And there was an actor who had this, it wasn't a rep company where we do one show after another, but often you do one show and then you'd get cast in the next show and you wouldn't have the lead. Well, there was a character in this show who was playing the butler. The previous show, he had played Wild Bill Hickok in Annie Get Your Gun. So he was a big shot in that one. Was it Wild Bill Hickok or Buffalo Bill? Buffalo Bill, one of them. One of them cowboy characters. So he was a big lead in one show, and then he was playing this character who was just the butler. And there's a scene where I'm on stage. We're waiting for the Maria Von Trapp, and they've just gotten married. They're coming back from their honeymoon. And I'm on stage with the kids, with the Von Trapp children, ages 5. No, they were 6 years up to, I think, 14 or 15 was the older girl. And his cue came, and he didn't come on stage. So I started improvising with these little kids. And it went on and on. And the kids didn't know how to improv. So I'm just making up all kinds of crap. I don't know what I was saying. Finally, I could hear, the audience couldn't hear, but I could hear the stage manager saying, Phil Bucker to the stage, Phil Bucker to the stage. And the green room was downstairs below where we were. And you heard, he's running up the stairs. He comes on, does the scene, and we finished the scene. Okay. Well, he apologized to me afterwards. He said, I'm so sorry, man. It won't happen again. I said, okay, we all screw up. It happens. It's all right. Cool. About a week and a half later, same thing happened. Same place. The guy's not there. And what happens is when you're down in the green room, they play cards down there, okay, while they're waiting to go on. Well, I hear again, he calls for him, comes up the stairs, he comes on. Well, I'm not in a good mood now. He apologizes again. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, dude, I understand, but this is not something you do to another actor. You got to take care of each other. You got to have each other's back. He said, I'm sorry, man, it won't happen. And I swear to God, not a month later, it happened the third time. And had someone heard me talking to this gentleman and didn't know who I was, mm-hmm. they would have thought, this is the worst asshole I've ever known in my life. Mm-hmm. Who would ever want to work with Paul Eiding? Listen to how he is. He's such a jerk. Because this is something that you don't do. Right. You're getting paid. Everybody's getting paid good money to do this show. Mm-hmm. And it's not even about that. It's about fellow act. Anyway, mm-hmm. Shortly after that, I had been doing the show for 5 months at this point, mm-hmm. 8 shows a week. And I just, it was time to leave. People were breaking out Grand Marnier and drink at intermission because people are so tired of the sugar sweet show. Yeah. And at one point, somebody said, "Hey, you want a drink?" And I said, "Well, I don't have that much to do in the second act. I do have a song. Yeah, I'll take a shot." Oh, no. I took a shot of liquor, and as I swallowed it, which was really good, as I swallowed it, I said, I've got to leave the show because this is not professional. This is not what you do. Mm-hmm. So I gave my notice, my 2-week notice, and I did it for 6 months, and I couldn't wait to leave. However, I am still friends with, I've been in touch with 5 of the kids. Aww. That were from the ages of 6 to, she was 15 years old. One of the boys I am in touch with on Facebook. One of my no one knows where they is. So I've stayed in touch with them. One is a doctor. One is only one is an actress. Mm-hmm. And in fact, last year, I'm just telling you, am I rambling on too much?
Oh, it was a good story.
Oh, you're good.
Keep going.
Okay. All right. So one of them is a wonderful actress who stayed in Minnesota, has 3 kids of her own now. And the coolest thing was last year, or maybe the year before last, she did a play with my daughter, McKenna. So they got to work together and they're doing this show. And then I saw who was in the cast and I said, "Oh my God, McKenna, tell so-and-so who you are." And well, actually, she had figured it out because Eiding is not a very common name.
Right.
She said, Are you related to Paul Eiding? She said, "Yeah, it's my dad." So that's lovely. I love that stuff about theater. So in touch with in fact, young girls, one of the who played Brigitte. Didn't play. She was 9 at the time. She is now a co-owner of this professional theater. She became a choreographer, and really a good one, and is now one of the co-owners of this theater.
That's awesome.
So we're still friends. I just couldn't do that show any longer. It was just so dreary. I hated it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kill this guy. Had he done it to me one more time, I think
You would have actually done it.
there would have been wanted posters for my life. Anyway.
The strangest play of The Sound of Music. It was just so weird. This guy couldn't kill a butler on stage.
It happened on stage. It was amazing. And there were children around. What was that man thinking? It's like,
We thought it was fake. It wasn't fake.
Never got back up.
Close the curtains.
Just hold it there. That's awesome.
yeah.
We have a question from Kem Swanky. Swank? I don't know how to say it. For me, I remember Paul Most from Metal Gear Solid is a dumb question. I know it was 20 years ago, and they said it was a dumb question, not me.
Okay.
I'm not calling
Never a dumb question.
Yeah, there's no such thing as dumb
just
questions.
dumb people.
Only dumb answers.
It was 20 years ago, and it was just various voices. But any chance he remembers any of his lines he did in Road to El Dorado?
Ooh.
Road to El Dorado. Oh my God. I thought he was going to ask for
There's
if I remember any lines from Metal Gear. I thought those I remember.
One.
I was gonna say.
But Road from El Dorado. I don't. I remember. Oh God. It was
Watch the
fun
movie.
though.
And just watch the
Oh man. No, I don't. I'm so sorry, man.
Oh no.
Aw.
I'm worthless.
You broke this guy's heart.
Aw, you're broken.
Oh.
I'll tell you one thing I did.
Pick another one. Pick another one.
Yeah. Something I did
Yes.
when I went to my first BotCon for Transformers in 2010.
Yes.
I had not seen the show for a long time.
Mhm.
And I felt that, and I had one of my friends who was also in the show. I won't say his name, but he can be kind of curmudgeonly. I said, well, what do you do when they ask you questions? He said, I just tell them I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You know, they know it better than I do. I don't remember any of this stuff. And I felt like I owed it to the fans
I almost want to.
if they're going to come and stand in line to get my autograph or whatever or talk. I went back and watched all the episodes.
Good for you.
I just felt like I owed it to folks, you know?
I almost want to guess which one you're talking about, but I don't want to just like call him out.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to do that either. Because number one, because I love the guy. He's
Right.
he's got a great heart. This is what it is. You know, I don't know. I don't remember. And I'm not going to take the time to go back and try and figure it all out. And it's true because, the fans of any show, even Metal Gear or Road to El Dorado,
Yes.
you guys know it much, much better than we do.
Right.
Probably seen it a lot more.
A little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
like,
go ahead.
sorry. Well, like when we were at Alamo City Comic Con, I think it was the next day during one of the Ninja Turtle panels. Like I said, Rob and Cam and all of them were back together after like 20 or whatever years doing a thing. And somebody asked that question and Cam was like, yeah, I never expected this to be a thing. This is just work for me. I think even because where was it? I got to meet Buster Jones and at BotCon in Dallas, and I think even he said the same thing. Was like, I didn't realize how big this show was going. Well, it's like, yeah, none of you guys really realized at the time this is going to be the big thing that 20, 30 years down the line, here this like person's going to come up to you and say, oh, I watched this when I was 5 and now I'm 35 and I've got my kids watching it too. Like, you don't know that going in. So most of the time you guys are just like, yeah, this is just a job. This is just me going day in, day out, clock in, clock out. And you just do your thing and you go home. You don't realize the impact you're making.
Absolutely. Anyone who says they saw all this coming is lying.
It's Tara
Right.
Strong.
Or Tara Strong.
Strong's the only person.
They're strong. Yeah.
They're either lying or they're
Only
Tara
one.
Strong.
Because all
There's
these
literally two
older shows and movies, like
Yeah.
they're popular. They're popular back when they came out. But
Yeah.
without the advancement of technology, you wouldn't have these massive conventions. You wouldn't
Mhm.
have Twitter
No.
followers. You wouldn't have any of this. You
Right.
have no way of going back and seeing this stuff. So
Right.
if
Exactly.
technology had just kind of stayed meh the entire time,
Hmm.
you wouldn't have you would have never known your entire life how much impact you had on somebody. But because you have conventions now and you have multimedia where people can comment on a post you do,
Right.
they can tell you that you've meant so much for them and they're
Mhm.
just appreciative of everything you've done.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You didn't have that 30 years ago.
Yeah.
No. And watching something over and over again. No, you saw it once, maybe in a rerun. That was it. But you're absolutely right about how lucky we are to be living when we're living now,
Hmm.
as far as actors are concerned. Because we would never get that feedback, and that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons I love
Right.
the cons, because you get to know that something you did meant something, no matter what you felt. Even if you felt like, oh, we're just selling toys, or we're filling
Right.
commercial, we're filling time
Yeah.
between the commercials.
Right.
Right. Right. But it also shows like what kind of a person you are, because we've all been to the conventions where it's like, well, for instance, you remember me and my dad, and you actually told me last year at TFCon, I saw your dad before I saw you, and you sounded a little bit hurt by that. I was like, oh damn, I pissed him off.
What's the
I'm
deal?
sorry.
What's the deal? He's like,
It was like the one time we were separated and I didn't get to see you either first or at the same time. You were like, what gives? It's like,
yeah,
no, I don't know. I got caught up in something. Sorry. But so there's people like you that, yeah, it's been years since we've seen each other, and you can still pick me out of a crowd despite, wearing like cosplays or regular clothes.
Well, see, it's because I'm really special.
Yeah, you are.
I think that's
you're one in a million. But yeah, and then there's the other actors that we've all seen, and we all have like our horror stories. So it's like,
Yeah, I think our
you just
co-hosts would actually tell. I think we all know which one we're talking about.
Tech
Yeah,
guy.
the other one.
Uh-oh.
But we've had it
running
too,
the boards
like
right now.
But we've had it too, where it's like you literally just saw, like, what was it? Well, like, yeah. So that same year at Alamo City Comic Con, I think it was like a week or two later, I went to New York City Comic Con, and Rob Paulson was there again. And I was like, I don't know if you remember me, because again, you go to a convention, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people in this little room through a weekend that you guys see. And then to match that face to not just a different convention, but a convention in a whole nother state.
Right.
So I was actually surprised that, yeah, he recognized me. But I know sometimes that doesn't happen. It's like, okay, we literally just met like a week ago. What the hey? But I mean, to be fair, it's like, yeah, you are one face in a crowd.
You met that one person. They met thousands of people, and then they went to another state,
Right.
and they met another couple thousand people. And you just kind of you're there now. If anything, it'd be kind of weird, like the Matrix. See a repeat face, like, wait, you're in another state. You're not supposed to be this state.
Yeah, you have an evil twin.
A couple.
So you're saying that he did recognize you, or he didn't?
I think Rob did. And he was actually at that time sitting with Greg Sipes, because this was all getting, they were doing promo stuff for
the 2012 Ninja Turtles. Because Greg Sipes was
Michelangelo, and Rob played
Donatello.
And yeah, so he introduced me real quick to that. And then, yeah, we were just, but yeah, it just happens. And
yeah,
like, I get it. Yeah, there's some people that are just like, oh my God, all these guys are super cool. And like, yeah, you and Glenn and Dan and Greg that have been able to recognize me over the years. It's been kind of like, it's
wholesome.
Yeah, it's wholesome and it's humbling and it's like exciting. It's like, oh my God, I'm noticed by you guys. I feel like, how can someone like me make even a blip on your radar?
Well, because you're important. And I know it sounds cornball, and I've said it before, and it's the absolute truth. we are nothing without fans liking our work.
Absolutely.
You know, forget about the technology and everything else. If nobody gave a crap about what we did, I can be the best actor in the world in my office,
Right.
and who gives a crap?
Right.
You know, being a wonderful actor here ain't going to get me to a con. I'm not going to meet anybody. Nobody's going to, you know. So it is. I always say one of the reasons I love theater so much and why I miss it so desperately is because it's a shared experience. When you're in the theater, if you're on stage and you're acting, the audience is there. It's never going to happen the same way again. Doesn't matter if you do the same lines the next night with a different audience, or even if it's the same audience. It'll never be the same. It happens one time. We share that moment, that energy, that experience once.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And when you go to a con,
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. You know, we are all there.
Yeah.
We have something in common, you know, whether it's a video game or a TV show or whatever. It's happening one time. And the actor is nothing without that audience. We're nothing without, you know, the fans who care about what we do or like the show or whatever, you know. And I think the danger is there are a few actors that have fallen into the belief that they deserve everything they got.
Yep.
That they deserve the accolades, that they deserve the fandom, that they deserve everything. You know, it's like, you better be grateful for what you got, buddy.
One just popped like right into my head. Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Don't say it.
It's here today, gone tomorrow, or never at all. Just be grateful that somebody cares about what you've done and that you've touched somebody in some way. I got to be careful with that because my friends in England, that first BotCon, I said, what does an actor wants to touch people? What they want to do, and of course they took that
and ran with it. Yep, that's what we did.
Ran with it. They give me a hard time every time we talk about it. Paul Eiding touched me. It's like, no, shut up. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Touched me emotionally.
Love
yeah,
it.
exactly.
And a side hug.
Love it.
Anyway, all right, ramble.
Actually, I have a question. Regarding to acting, like,
welcome to the show, Sonic. I'm glad you could be here.
Nah, you got to respect our guests here. I can't let them just interrupt them in the minute. Just you know what I mean.
Feel free.
That's my job.
The question is, whenever you do like a session, whether it's through voice or for like acting, like in theater, when you read the script or anything like that, was there ever an example where you read the script is like, and you give like the director or writer suggestions like, hey, instead of saying it this way, can I say it this way? Was there any cases like that? Were there any situation where you feel like you would need to do that, or they'd just be like on the fly? They would just say,
often.
Often? Okay.
Yeah, often. You have to know who you're dealing with. Because there are certain shows, TV shows, that you do things word for word. You don't offer suggestions, and you know that ahead of time. Generally, because they're so well written, you don't need to do that stuff. You don't need to suggest, how about they do this? But the game that I worked on last week, there were some things that were, the language was very arch, and it didn't really sound like it was coming from a human being. And one of the characters I was doing was not a human being. Another character was a human being. And they said, that doesn't sound right, does it? And I said, no, it doesn't. And then we go back and forth. What do you think of this? And they said, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. So when you have that kind of leeway and that kind of freedom, it's wonderful for an actor. And it's very smart for the writer generally, if they're trying to make something sound natural and real. So that was a really nice time to do that. Also, I just finished doing a Netflix series. It was a Spanish Netflix series that they wanted me to dub into English. Okay. And I did. And there were some lines that just weren't matching the lip flaps. Mm-hmm. And it didn't really make a lot of sense. And there are times you have to drag out a word to make something fit. And again, they said, well, we know what we want to say. We know what this translation is supposed to be. How can we change that? How can we make it work? So that sort of thing, it worked that we could change some of the words, change some of the, not change the meaning, but change some of the words to make the lip flaps work, and also to make it sound like it came, that somebody would say it, not just some write it. Because so often you find things that really work when you're reading the words, but not when you're hearing the words. There is that, they're one thing to read something in a book that fits, but when you hear it coming out of somebody's mouth, nobody would talk like that.
Sounds like you're reading it from a book.
Yeah, sounds like robotic and all that in a way.
Exactly. It's a good question.
There's another question from Ken. Out of curiosity, does Paul do we kind of covered this earlier, but I think they showed up later. Does Paul do most of his voice work from the studio, or does he record from home? Right, this year we kind of went over it. Home of the road.
More from home than usual,
right?
Because of COVID-19.
Right. What's going on in the world today?
I know Steve Bloom splits his about half and half. He has a home studio and then travel setup. If you have a home setup, do you know what kind of mic he uses? Like, I don't know what mic you use.
Yes, I have a Neumann U87, and I also have a Sennheiser shotgun mic, MKH46, I think it is. So I've got two. Generally, for video games, they prefer a large condenser mic. From straight voiceover, the shotgun works well, but for the yelling and whatnot, you want a bigger mic. So the U87 works. Sounds like I know what I'm talking about, doesn't it?
Yeah. Are you reading it off of something, or?
I believe it.
Or an actor, and I have Source Connect standard, which you have to have to be able to communicate with all the different studios.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
So your plans this year kind of thrown under the bus. Do you have any, if everything kind of goes back to normal, what are you hoping for next year?
Oh, God. Love, happiness in the world.
There you go.
And
all of the above. I'm being
right.
facetious, but please God, let that happen.
Yeah.
I want to get back on stage. I have to go back to stage. That's to fill my soul. So that's the last thing I'm afraid is going to happen. Because you have to have so much space. Now, if things go back to normal, then still a little bit of all of it. I have a one-man play that I've not finished yet, but it's a one-man play with 4 actors. But all those actors are me, all sides of who I am. and who
Okay.
I've been. But it's a one-man show. Happened to be 4 actors though, because it's all different aspects of who because we all have more than one. We're not just one thing. One of the characters will be a female, because I have a strong feminine side to my personality. At least that's my daughters and my wife says, and that's a good thing. So I've got that. I want to try and finally mount that, but that'll be a while. And just more of the same. Just working in a normal environment would be fun, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so all the above. And get back to cons. I miss
Mhm.
That's a mood for a lot of
seeing.
us.
Same.
I miss seeing folks, you know? I miss seeing you crazy
Smelly people.
anime folks.
Yes.
I've only done 2 anime, and they were both, true anime, and they were both Miyazaki. So I've never done it.
Ah.
Well, if you're gonna do an anime,
It's gonna
Miyazaki's
be
a good place to
Miyazaki,
start,
yeah.
I guess.
Pokoroso and Spirited Away.
And the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah. But I've never done any of the anime stuff, the TV stuff. I've had a lot of anime actor friends, which I love. But I love the crazy anime fans because they are the most passionate, wearing the different outfits and just being there. And I mean, I'm sure you've heard this from me before, SJ. Anybody who has got a passion for something that isn't hurting anyone else,
Right.
and that's not a negative passion.
Right.
It's something that fills them with joy, and when they want to share it, it's like,
Absolutely.
God. And that's what
Absolutely.
life is about. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like we all seem to, not all of, but a lot of people seem to lose that passion or that excitement, that love, when they get to be 12, 14 years old. Then
Right.
it's like you're told to get in your place, stay in your, do this, do that.
Mhm.
And you get it knocked out of you.
Yeah.
Someone, it's a famous line, I may get old, but I'm never going to, no, I may get old, but I'm never going to grow up.
There you go.
And everyone should feel that,
Right. I feel
Life
like that's.
go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, I feel like, well, aside from this year, I feel like, yeah, with conventions and stuff being the way they are, I feel like that's been kind of changing a lot. Because I know I heard that when I was around those formative years, like, oh, you used to watch this show's for babies and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, nowadays, here's like all these other people we've been that, yeah, because of conventions I've gotten to meet and you've gotten to meet, and it's the same thing. They've said, oh, all our lives we've watched this show.
Mhm.
And other people said it was for babies, but it's like, this is becoming the norm now. And it's like, yeah.
And the other thing that's really sad is that the friendships that have been made
Mhm.
by the convention goers, not even the actors,
Right.
the bonds that people have made, and now they haven't been able to see each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Some folks, the only time they get to see each other is at these conventions.
That's true. And
Yeah.
I know, sorry to interrupt, but I know an example would be I knew like a few group of people I met like a guy online. He was like, we were like talking and all that stuff. And then I found out he was going to the same convention I was going. It was like, oh, sweet, dude, let's go hang out. And then like he introduced me to his friends, and then like basically we still keep in contact. And it's like, that's what's so cool
Yeah.
about these conventions. And a lot of people really do miss that, obviously what's going on with the world right now, we have to be all safe and all that.
Right.
And also with social media, it also helps too, hey, still keep in contact, but most people prefer seeing it, face to face than
Mhm.
behind a computer screen.
Yeah, I'm with you. That for me, that's really sad for folks. It's like, and thank God for social media.
Mhm.
Because we've got to keep those connections, because that's what life is about.
The other option
Sharing
is calling them on a
and-
phone. That ain't gonna work.
Or snail mail.
Snail
I'll
mail.
send you a postcard.
Oh no, don't even get me started. I spent already an hour at the post office today because they gave me the wrong keys to my mailbox. I was upset.
Well, then you shouldn't have moved. You should have stayed where you were.
Sell the
Yes.
house. Cancel the mortgage.
No.
Keys didn't work. I'm leaving.
And congratulations on the new place, by the way.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
very cool.
She won't show us a tour of the house yet, and we're very
It's
upset.
still a hot mess. I'm
We
not
want to
showing.
see the blank walls. How many walls do you have? Are there 4? We don't know. There could be 5. We know there's nothing on them.
Just don't break the fourth wall. That's all. Ooh.
Next podcast in VR.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
We need you to hold the stick and walk through your apartment. Don't worry about.
I guess so. Yeah. Maybe I will. You can hear
Listen,
more echoes.
I was actually going to do. I'm in my office. I was actually going to do it on my laptop and carry it around the house and embarrass my wife and my daughters.
Oh.
I said no. Then the house is a mess and the dogs would start barking. So never mind.
Yeah.
We'll just
Yeah, I'm in the bathroom, so
cool. Cool.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty good. You have a green screen behind you.
Yes, he does.
yeah.
I was going to say because that's certainly not just the Zoom one because the Zoom one sucks.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't like
'Cause when I-
seeing my everything. So
yeah, when I have class every Saturday, when I'm doing a scene, I'll put up my green screen. And like last week, I did a scene with my scene partner. We were supposed to be in a hotel in Columbus, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So I went online, found that same hotel, and got a room. They had pictures of all the different rooms. So I got the room and the actual picture of the room, put it online. Or put it on the Zoom background. And there I was. I was sitting in that actual room that we were having our scene from. It was like very
Awesome.
cool. But without the green screen, of course, you see through yourself
it'll
and you see
cover
all
your
the
entire body.
right. Anyway,
I didn't realize
Blah,
I could put
blah.
a video as my background. This is moving.
I love
I
it.
just found that. Features.
Look at you.
Yeah.
I see one question, and the
Oh,
person
yes.
absolutely has to have it answered. Apparently, it says, "Colonel, which Snake voice actor do you like better, David Hayter or Kiefer Sutherland? And why is it not Kiefer Sutherland?"
Is it not Kiefer Sutherland?
Kiefer Sutherland
I'll tell
is
you
fine,
why.
I think.
Well, it's David because David's my buddy.
Yeah.
Friends.
I love David. He's Snake. Kiefer was wonderful, but I didn't work with Kiefer. I worked with David. I did all those. We spent many hours together. We went to Australia together. We had a great time in Australia, hanging out with my wife and I, and he and his wife. I'll make this quick because I know the time is almost up. But when my daughter was still in high school, we had a program called Visiting Professionals, and we'd bring in different people because it was an arts high school. And the kids, the actors and the dancers sit in the front of the room. All the guys who were the tech was sitting back of the room. And we had the producer of Godfather came in and talked. We had all these big names come in and talk. Didn't bother. The kids in the back didn't care. So I said, I'm going to ask David if he'll come in and talk. And I contacted David, and I said, David, it'd be like for an hour, just talking about what you do and answering questions. This is before he wrote X-Men, or it was actually after he wrote X-Men. X-Men had already been out. That's right. So I contacted David, and David said, absolutely, Colonel. He still calls me Colonel. He said, absolutely, Colonel. So I met him. He came. He stayed for like 2.5 hours. And when he started talking, And these guys, these kids who knew me because of my daughters who went to the high school, they had no idea what I did. They had no idea that I was Colonel Campbell. They had no idea that I did video games. But when David came in and I introduced him, they knew immediately who David was. And the guys who had always been in class like this, watching the class, they were like, okay, here I am. They had questions. David hung around and signed autographs for an hour. It was just so. To answer your question succinctly, David is my snake. There's no two ways about it.
It says, thanks for the info, Colonel.
Yeah, there you go. But Kiefer Sutherland's a hell of an actor, but David's my snake.
Oh,
Love it.
very wholesome.
We are coming close on the time. I would like to say thank you so much for coming. I thank you, SJ, for having the plethora of Transformers friends. Who
It's
are
not
also,
just Transformers. That's
I had
just
to
where
bring
it
it up, or else
starts.
it's not
But oh yeah,
also amazingly talented people.
yes.
I had a lot of fun. I'm sure Keyblade eventually talked, so I'm sure he
No, I did.
had fun.
I did pay attention to everything. Just because I don't look it doesn't mean I can't.
That's
tell.
good.
He's only sleeping a little bit. He's got one ear open. That's all we need.
Right.
I hope I didn't bore you guys. I
love
you know,
stories.
Oh, we
I'll
love.
be honest. When you said it was 2 hours, I said, "Holy shit! What am I going to do? Talk about for 2 hours?" Like, yeah, I do ramble, don't I?
Don't worry, you're not.
Oh, I
You're
love
not.
it.
You're actually not one
I
of
can-
the. You're not the first person who said that.
Oh, good. Okay,
It's
What
like-
good.
am I going to talk
I'm
about?
pretty sure I state that this is a 2-hour show. I mean, we try to ask as many questions as we can. We try to let the other people, the viewers, ask as many questions as we can. Feel free to tell some stories if you like. I like listening to y'all's
Make
stories.
stories
I think
up.
it's great.
I don't know if your story.
Lie to us.
How the fuck are we going to know?
Yeah, I just made it all up. You know, I'm good at improv.
There you go.
What can I say?
Exactly. There you go. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I can't speak for everyone else, but I had a good time.
I
of
enjoyed it.
course.
I don't care about anybody else as long as you enjoyed it.
Aw,
I'm a happy guy.
Oh,
thanks, Paul.
No, I'm kidding.
Doesn't matter.
he's like, Jace, look at us. We're obsolete.
Jumps over here, you with your blue wall and me with the green screen. As David with nothing.
Yeah,
But a cat.
You
and a
can key it
cameo.
into your white shirt, and everything will just turn white,
I
There
was
you
gonna
go.
say, yeah.
disappear.
Yep.
You can be as pale as me and just completely go away.
Right.
Let's see. I have to wait. It's an awkward moment because I don't have control of how this ends.
Oh, that's right.
But we were all supposed to. If you ever need to leave or anything for any reason, because I know it's near West Coast, like 7 o'clock over there.
Yep.
Yep. Well,
And
here's
you
what my
obviously have
my
food.
wife
What you got?
That is tradition.
lasagna.
Oh, dang, I love lasagna.
Yeah, my wife just brought this in to me. It's like it was like
That's how we know when it's getting close to stopping, because the people on the West Coast always have their significant other comes in and gives them
Tell
food.
them
Wow.
like it's dinner time. It's like, oh, sorry.
How I think out of the 5 people we've had from California, someone's always come in for food out of 4 of them.
I love it.
Yeah, it's fine.
I love it.
Half the time we're eating on the podcast anyway.
Yeah, we usually.
Oh, we forgot to mention you can eat if you want.
Oh,
We
yeah.
tell you at the end of it though. That way you didn't.
You're right, exactly.
To be
Very
fair,
smart.
Clever plan.
sometimes we like to make fun of SJ because what she eats, and she would tell us what she eats.
Okay, she bought like a $50 salad though, so I'm gonna make fun of her for that.
It was a $45.
It was.
$45, but she had to get it returned because it had ham on it, so
They
it's
gave her
still
salad.
$45.
I got a bunch of meals for like $45.
Oh,
One of
It's
the
a
parts.
buffet.
Shut up.
Most of
Jeez,
it
one
was
the parts-
one salad. It was one salad and like a sandwich that had nothing on it.
I had it was like
Yeah.
a burger and a pie and salid, and I made it last.
No,
like,
Rachel,
four meals.
you're busted, Rachel. Just cop to it. You're busted. You paid $45 for a salad.
Yes.
Fine.
All right. We've got the okay. Start wrapping it up from our
Damn.
from our producer, because
He's like,
he can actually
shut
talk
up now.
if he wanted to, and he would let us, and then no one would hear him. We're very professional here, obviously.
Yeah.
Sonic, you're way better at wrapping this up as a professional YouTuber. Could you wrap up our ending? I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
Just want to say thank you guys for watching, all the audience out there. Thank you to Paul for being here. It's been a really pleasure talking to you. we hope to have you back here again.
Yeah, well, I've got nothing else. All
right.
4 hours next time.
4 All right. Just want to say thank you guys for watching. We will be back on next time, probably tomorrow, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah, tomorrow. All right. For Paul, for Goku, for SJ and Jace, this is Keyblade Sonic. We want to say take care of you guys, stay safe, and peace. See you guys next time.
Bye.